If you like this video and want more, please click the red subscribe button. Between the years 1959 and 1961, a profound and devastating catastrophe unfolded across the vast expanse of the People's Republic of China. This period, known officially as the 3 years of natural disasters, would later come to be called the Great Chinese Famine. It was a time of immense hardship and suffering for hundreds of millions of people. The famine did not happen in a vacuum. It emerged from a specific moment in history, a time when China was undergoing a radical and ambitious social and economic transformation under the leadership of Mao Zedong and the Communist Party. This immense national experiment aimed to leap from an agrarian society to a modern industrial power in just a few short years. The ambition was monumental. The policies enacted to achieve it were sweeping and forceful. The government launched the Great Leap Forward in 1958, a campaign designed to rapidly industrialize the country and collectivize its agriculture, with bold promises of a prosperous future just around the corner for the Chinese people. The Great Chinese Famine stands as one of the most lethal famines in human history. Measuring the precise number of lives lost is difficult for historians and demographers. Official records were often incomplete or unreliable, and the scale made accurate accounting nearly impossible. Through careful analysis of census data before and after the famine, scholars created estimates. These studies compare actual post-famine population with the expected population had normal birth and death rates continued. The difference reveals a devastating demographic scar. Most scholarly estimates count excess deaths that wouldn't have occurred under normal conditions. The consensus suggests between 15 million and 55 million people perished. The primary cause was starvation. Millions also died from diseases their malnourished bodies couldn't fight. The impact went beyond deaths. The famine caused a catastrophic drop in births. Severe malnutrition led many women to stop menstruating. Combine excess deaths with births that never happened, and the population loss is even greater, leaving a permanent gap in China's population pyramid and altering countless lives. The primary driver of the Great Famine was a series of radical government policies implemented under the Great Leap Forward. The first and most significant was agricultural collectivization. Private plots of land, their tools, their livestock, forced into massive people's communes. Communes sometimes held tens of thousands of people, managed by party cadres who often lacked agricultural expertise. Traditional farming knowledge was cast aside, in favor of unproven pseudoscientific techniques. Extremely dense planting, deep plowing. These practices damaged the soil and reduced yields. Another disastrous policy was the Four Pests campaign begun in 1958. Sparrows were targeted under the mistaken belief they ate large quantities of grain. The campaign reduced the sparrow population, but sparrows also ate insects. If you like this video and want more, please click the red subscribe button. With their main predator gone, locust populations exploded. Other crop-eating insects swarmed and devoured grain on a massive scale. Compounding these man-made problems, China also faced severe natural disasters. Policy failures had already created a fragile system that couldn't withstand shocks. The system designed to feed the nation was actively starving its farmers. As the famine took hold in 1959 and intensified through 1960, life in the most affected rural areas became a desperate struggle for survival. With the state having taken the majority of the grain, communal kitchens were set up to provide meals. They quickly ran out of food. Starvation became a daily reality. People were forced to eat whatever they could find to stay alive. They stripped leaves from trees, dug for wild roots, and ate tree bark and chaff. In some extreme cases, people resorted to eating leather boiled and softened to be digestible, or even grinding corn cobs into a powder to be used as a food substitute. These materials offered little to no nutritional value and often caused severe digestive problems. The social fabric of rural communities began to unravel. The traditional family structure, centered around a household kitchen, had been dismantled by the communes. The government's response was initially one of denial and repression. People were generally forbidden from fleeing their home villages in search of food. This policy of containment prevented a massive and visible refugee crisis, but condemned millions to starve in isolation, hidden from the eyes of the cities and the outside world. The turning point in the Great Famine began in late 1960 and early 1961, as the Chinese leadership, faced with incontrovertible evidence of a national catastrophe, was forced to act. Mao Zedong partially stepped back from day-to-day economic management. Emergency measures were implemented to reverse the crisis. the government quietly abandoned many of the most radical policies of the Great Leap Forward. The focus shifted from ideology-driven production targets to practical, effective methods for restoring food production and saving lives. One of the most important policy reversals was the gradual dismantling of the people's communes. Farmers were once again allowed to cultivate small private plots of land and sell their surplus produce in local markets. This simple change had a dramatic and immediate impact. The government also initiated large-scale grain imports from Western countries like Canada and Australia, a significant move that helped to supplement the nation's depleted food supply and feed the urban population. The recovery was slow and arduous. The population had been weakened by years of severe malnutrition. By 1962, food production had begun to rebound. The worst of the starvation had subsided, and death rates started to return to normal levels. The famine was officially over, but its impact would linger for decades, etched into the collective memory of the nation, even if it was rarely discussed publicly.